So let's take a look at what PaperRater can do for you. When you proofread your own work, it can be difficult because you have in your head what you've actually written, and sometimes you've made a mistake, but because you know what you intended to write, you don't necessarily notice that mistake. PaperRater can actually look at your work objectively, and it can proofread it for you. So it can actually run a spell check, it can run a grammar check, it can make suggestions on how to improve your writing, and what's more, you actually plug in your grade levels, so it makes suggestions based on how one would be expected to write if they were in your grade level. But one thing you have to remember, this is a computer. Computers don't always get nuances of language, so it may not interpret what you've written the way you intended for it to be interpreted. So maybe if you're quoting someone and they've used a slang term, it may not pick up on that. So, you still have to make some personal judgments, but let's have a look at how it actually works. So let's take a look at PaperRater and see how it can improve your writing. First of all, you go to paperrater.com and you're going to use it for free. The great thing about PaperRater is that you don't need to register, so you don't need to share any personal information. So it asks me to upload a file. I've actually created a short document with some deliberate mistakes in, just so you can see how this works. So I'm actually just going to enter the text that I've written. Let's pretend that this is a 9th grade essay. You can read the terms of service. I'm not going to do that right now, but you simply, once you've read them, you check the box and you get the report. Give it a short while and it will produce a report that grades your writing for you and makes suggestions. So straight away we have some errors. Now anything that is highlighted red is a spelling error. Green are grammatical errors, and blue is generally a choice of words. It thinks that you'd need to make a more appropriate word choice. So if I come to the right of the screen and I click on spelling, it's going to show me all of the words that I've spelt incorrectly and make suggestions for them. So I can come here and I can edit the selection and I can change the word so that it's correct. Or sometimes it suggests a word for me. So I can pick the word that it should be. So here it's corrections. But before I correct all of the errors, let's go through this. I'll change teacher and we'll go. Now green, it's offering suggestions. So here I can gradually work my way through them. And I don't necessarily have to agree with it. I don't have to change it. Just remember, it's a computer that's checking your work. So sometimes language has nuances that aren't understood by a computer, especially if you're doing a direct quotation of something that someone has said. Okay, now it's looking at word choices. And it's saying that I got less than an average score. So I had a lot of spelling mistakes in there, inappropriate words, that kind of thing. Here, it's making a suggestion that perhaps I need to use a thesaurus to change some of the words. So I could use a thesaurus and I could look for words that are more appropriate just so that I vary my words. Transitional phrases. So it says, I use and a lot, and these are some suggestions that I could use if I wanted to change that and make my writing sound better. My sentences, it says it's lacking complex sentences. I've used too many short sentences, but there's also a resource I can click on that tells me about sentence length, the effective use of that. Some features are premium features only, and it's not going to give me information about that. Here I've got active versus passive, simple sentence starts. I don't have a very good use of simple sentence, of more complex sentence starts. So it's given me some suggestions on what I could change and another resource to look at to better understand how I can improve that kind of writing. Use of academic vocabulary is actually quite good. It's given me the words that I used that were appropriate, but I could actually use a vocabulary builder to practice improving my more complex words. Grade was a 71 or a C. Now just remember, this is a grade based on writing and style. This is not based on content. So you may look at this and you may get a higher grade than your teacher gives you because your teacher might be expecting you to put in more content. And we can skip all of that. And basically that's the end of it. Now I did notice that it didn't correct this word for me. So it's not perfect, but it's certainly a good way to check your work. And basically I would just go back to my paper, I would copy all of my corrections, go back to my paper and paste them in. And you see right here, the spelling check on my paper actually corrected that. Okay, so that's PaperRater for you. It's not perfect, but it's a great way to proofread your papers. I hope it's helped you gain some insight into how to use it and how it can help you with your writing.